How's it going? Nathan Hawken here, and in this video what I'm going to talk about is the refined version of yourself. Now bear with me. I'm recording this video on New Year's, now, or the beginning of this year. It's around the 8th of January now, and around New Year's you hear a lot of talk, or a lot of people talking about New Year's resolutions. What are you going to give up for this year? What are you going to change for the next year? What are you going to do differently? And you also hear a lot about being reborn or restarting. You know, it's like you're flicking the restart switch. It's like the end of last year has happened, or last year has happened, and here you are at the beginning of this year. Now it's time to restart or be reborn. So we'll just start anew. For me, that's something that I'm not really into at all. I don't like the whole concept of restarting or renewing. Even though sometimes I catch myself thinking that way or saying that same thing to some people sometimes. But deep down inside, I don't agree with it. I don't buy into that at all, because I don't think there's any such thing of restarting, being reborn. Sometimes it might feel like if you go through a life-changing experience and you come out of it a different person, even though that may feel like a rebirth sometimes, it's not. And bear with me, like I said, we'll get into this a little bit deeper. And it's just like New Year's resolutions. A lot of people talk about like the things they're going to give up, the things they're going to start, habits that they're going to break, but they never really do the deep inner work that has to happen in order to change the habits. They try out something for a couple of days or a week. It's like, I'm not going to have any sugar this year, or I'm going to work out more, and it happens for a week or maybe 2 weeks, but then something happens and they start slowly but surely going back to their old habits, their old way of thinking, and then suddenly it's like, yeah, the New Year's resolutions are out the window. Now this is why I don't believe in restarting, is because in order to restart, it's as though you're flicking the switch. Anytime your computer dies or something happens with your internet, for example, and it freezes, you're told to turn it off and on. Now that's a restart. That is stopping totally and then redoing, like from the very beginning. That can't happen in your life, because your life is a complex series of events and experiences which have happened in a particular way to get you to where you are now. Whether you think where you're at now is a good place or a bad place, or you like where you're at or you don't like where you're at, you still had to go through all those experiences and anything that has happened in your life for you to become who you are today. So there is no such thing as a restart or a rebirth, if you will. The way I see it, there's only ever a refinement of who you are. And now as you start the beginning of a year, like now for example, if you're watching this at New Year's, you don't start it as someone new, you start it as you, but now you're a much wiser, more mature, more refined, more aware human being, which I personally believe is a way better way to start the new year, or start anything really, because this doesn't even necessarily have to be a New Year's thing. Anytime we think about flicking the reset switch or starting anew, starting from scratch, can't do that. You may think you're starting from scratch, but you're not, because you're bringing the experience of the first time with you. I was on a coaching call yesterday actually, and one of my clients was talking about like the overwhelm that she's experiencing, having moving house and work and working from home and all these things which have piled up. And one of the things that had happened was her laptop died, and all of her information, everything she had on it, contracts, agreements, all sorts of content on there, gone, lost. Now, you can imagine how stressful that would be. And there's a lot of things which she'll probably have to recreate, but when she goes through and recreates those things, she's not starting new. She's taking her experience and her knowledge of doing everything the first time and then redoing it in a much better way, a much more mature way, a much more knowledgeable way, a much more aware and refined way. If you're someone who creates content and it's the same type of thing, my mentor always said we would create a video or do a video and think it was good, we would immediately delete it and then start again. Well, I was quite new to it all. He would want to delete it. I'd be like, oh, but we just did it. But he would want to delete it all, and we would delete that and start again. Because it doesn't matter what that was, what matters now is being better at it. And so that's why with New Year's resolutions, it's not like we're starting from scratch. It's not like we're really resolving anything. We're just going to take our previous experiences, things that have failed, things that have worked, and try and bring that into this new thing that we want to do, or this thing that we don't want to do anymore. And so rather than saying, I'm going to do this now, or I'm not going to do this now, think of it as a way of, I'm better, I'm smarter, I'm wiser, I'm more aware now. So whatever it is that I want to do, or whatever it is that I don't want to do anymore, I have a much better chance of succeeding if I just start. And for me, it's a much better way to look at it. And so I hope you can do the same thing. Please leave a comment below if this has resonated with you, if you've got any questions, got any queries. But I hope you begin your new year, or whatever it is that you're starting fresh, whatever it is that you want to improve, start it from a place of not starting, not renewing, not being reborn, just doing it in a better way than you may have been able to do before, because now you're able to do it in a much better way based on your experience, based on your knowledge, based on who you are now. Thanks for watching. I'll chat to you soon.